Buddhism is the dominant religion of the Far East and is increasing in popularity in the West. Over its 2,500-year-old history, it has developed into a wide variety of forms, from ones that reject rituals and deities in favor of pure meditation, to forms that place emphasis on religious worship and rituals. All of these, however, have a common respect for the teachings of the Enlightened One, Buddha. This video will focus on Japanese Buddhism. Although it is reasonable, however, to assume that elements of Buddhism had probably filtered into Japan for several centuries from Korean traders and immigrants. Buddhism was officially introduced to Japan in 538 AD when the ruler of Bakchi, a Korean kingdom, presented to the Japanese Emperor Kemi's court ornaments and scripture scrolls that depicted Buddha as a brilliant image. Controversy entailed in whether such a foreign cult should be accepted. The Orthodox Nakatami and Monomobi clans strongly opposed this new religion, stating that Japan already had their dominant religion of Shinto and blamed the Buddhist converts for a plague that was sweeping through Japan. The Soga clan, however, was very influential and believed that Buddhism would bring enrichment to their culture. The Japanese Emperor Kemi sided with the Soga clan. After 40 years, Prince Regent Shotako was appointed regent in the Emperor's Suko. He was a devout Buddhist and great statesman and publicly declared that Buddhism would be the official religion. He believed that Buddhism offered moral and intellectual benefits and would consolidate the existing clans. Japan did not have a formal written language at the time that Buddhism was being formally introduced. The Buddhist scriptures that were used were written in Chinese. Therefore, Buddhism was almost exclusive to the court family since they were the most schooled. Thus, the Buddhist integration into Japan was highly motivated by culture and political reasons. The court wanted to establish a system in which the existing clans could be consolidated. Buddhism offered both moral and intellectual benefits which Shinto lacked, and it was these cultural learnings that attracted the court. The government was ordered to build many Buddhist temples, one of which is the famous Horijo Temple. This is the world's oldest wooden structure that stands near the former capital of Nara. Eventually, Buddhism acculturation was gradually brought downward through a ladder of social branching. Buddhism is divided into many different traditions with a shared common set of basic beliefs. One fundamental belief of Buddhism is often referred to as reincarnation, the concept that people are reborn after dying. In fact, most individuals go through many cycles of birth, living, death, and rebirth. A person who practices Buddhism distinguishes between the concepts of reincarnation and rebirth. In rebirth, the individual may not return to Earth as the same entity ever again. In reincarnation, the individual may come back repeatedly. The person may reach nirvana only after many such cycles, and when the person releases their attachment to self and desire. Nirvana is the ultimate state where one has attained disinterested compassion and wisdom and freedom from suffering. The 10 precepts or rules the monastic monk lives by. These are not commandments but recommendations. One must use their own intellect in deciding precisely how to apply these rules. The first is one must not kill or do harm. This entails an absence of violence. The second precept is one must not steal. The third is one must not lie. This includes gossiping and name-calling. The fourth is one must not misuse sex. Buddhist monks remain celibate. The fifth precept is one must not consume alcohol or other drugs. This is because these elements lead to unclear judgment. Television, movies, and internet are also forbidden because these divorce oneself from reality. Sixth, one must not take untimely meals. Seventh, one must abstain from singing music, dancing, or watching grotesque acts. Eighth, perfumes, ornaments, and garlands must be avoided. Ninth, one must avoid high seats. And 10th, a Buddhist monk must not accept gold or silver. Buddhist followers have been declining recently in Japan. There are 2 reasons for this. Buddhism in Japan is often called funeral Buddhism. This is because the religion had a former near monopoly with lucrative and elaborate ceremonies surrounding death and memorial services. This expression is suggestive that Buddhism centers more on the dead than on the living. Furthermore, many people are now having their loved ones cremated or using the services of a funeral home rather than pay a Buddhist priest for his service. There is also a lack of successors to chief priests, which is jeopardizing family-run temples. There is a decline in interest in Buddhism in urban areas, and the religion's rural strongholds are being depopulated. Mathematically, it does not look promising. Older adherents are dying, while birth rates are remaining low. Not only has the number of temples in Japan been dipping, but membership at many temples has fallen. There have been changes, however, to attract new followers. Monks are turning to alcohol and rap to lure in new Buddhists. One such Japanese monk is King Shoteg, who goes by the street name Mr. Happiness. He believes that this change is necessary so that young people may accept the Buddhist faith. Mr. Happiness says that the modern bar setting eases the faithful to talk about their problems. Though this style of recruitment is untraditional, it has shown to be effective. Teg reported that twice as many people are visiting the temple and other monks are calling him up for advice. In addition, Teg also writes a blog, has a Buddhist radio program, and runs a Dial-a-Monk helpline. He preaches Buddhist sutras to rap music while performing. He hopes that young people will see the fun side of Buddhism and be interested in the religion. He is adding a tapping dance to Buddhist chants to help keep people interested. It is evident that for a religion to last, it must develop and evolve with the people. When Buddhism was first introduced to Japan, it was what the people were looking for and needed at that time. Times have changed, and religion has to change also if it is going to survive. In order to keep an interest in Buddhism, monks must conform to society to reach to minds of people living in 2010.